The competition. Once live shows began, Courtney's transformation from unknown contestant to international sensation happened almost instantly. Clips of her spread across social platforms. Headlines proclaimed a teen rock star had emerged from England, and views climbed into the millions within hours. Her schedule shifted overnight. Relocated temporarily to Los Angeles under supervision, she balanced online schoolwork with daily vocal warm-ups and rehearsals on the AGT soundstage, learning to work with spotlights, fog machines, and blocking cues like a seasoned performer. For her live debut, she chose Janis Joplin's Maybe, delivering a performance so charged that the crowd rose to its feet mid-song and confetti cannons closed out the number. The media appearances followed quickly. She sat down with Ellen DeGeneres, who couldn't resist trying to match her gravelly tone, and later joined Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show, where Questlove praised her control and passion. Record labels and merchandise companies began circling, but Courtney's parents kept her grounded, reminding her that singing was about sharing joy rather than chasing fame. She kept journaling small reflections during this period, one reading simply, "Today she sang for millions, but tomorrow she'd sing because she loved it." According to some accounts of her time on tour, in October 2018, Courtney was traveling with a group of fellow finalists on a bus heading toward Wisconsin when the vehicle reportedly skidded on a rain-slick highway and struck a guardrail. Passengers were said to have suffered minor injuries, with Courtney experiencing a knee injury and a mild concussion that required a brief hospital stay and several weeks of physical therapy afterward. It's worth noting that the specifics of this incident are difficult to independently verify, and readers interested in the precise details of any real accident involving her should look to contemporaneous news reporting rather than second-hand retellings. What does seem consistent across her story is a period of recovery and reflection following a stretch of intense touring and live performances. Whatever the exact circumstances, this chapter of her journey is often described as a pause that let her reconnect with why she loved music in the first place, writing new material, resting her voice, and leaning on her family and community for support. During this recovery period, Courtney reportedly turned her family's garden shed into a makeshift home studio, complete with microphones, small speakers, and recording software. She eased back into singing gently, starting with hums and soft covers of Aretha Franklin and Etta James before trusting her voice with more demanding material. Her hometown rallied around her. Neighbors dropped off meals, friends sent cards, and one evening a handful of local singers reportedly gathered outside her window for an impromptu driveway concert, a gesture, she said, moved her tears. As therapy progressed and doctors eventually cleared her for light singing, she returned to her shed studio and tested her range again, relieved to find her voice intact. By December, she felt strong enough to perform live again, taking the stage at a charity benefit in Newcastle City Hall in a green dress that concealed her knee brace. She opened with an original ballad that built steadily to a soaring finish, drawing the crowd to its feet. It was a full-circle moment. A young performer who had been sidelined finding her footing again, propelled less by spectacle and more by patience. By early 2019, Courtney had rejoined the America's Got Talent family for Stars for Hope, a benefit tour supporting young performers facing hardship, opening with Piece of My Heart, once again at Chicago's Rosemont Theater to an enthusiastic reception. She also joined Girls of Soul, a showcase of female vocalists at London's Jazz Cafe, closing the night with a rendition of Try a Little Tenderness. That spring, she recorded an EP in Newcastle, co-writing 2 original songs, one about overcoming fear, another about gratitude, alongside covers of soul classics like Respect and At Last. The project found its way onto major streaming platforms by summer, earning praise from music blogs and radio programmers alike. Rather than simply capitalizing on her growing profile, Courtney began investing in the next generation of singers. A local arts council invited her to lead a vocal masterclass, where she taught breath support and microphone technique to dozens of aspiring performers, telling them their voice was their story and encouraging them to sing honestly. She went further, launching a small scholarship fund with her first vocal coach to cover singing lessons for young talent in her. Long before television cameras found her, Courtney Hadwin was just a small child in Heselden, a quiet village in County Durham, England, born on May 6, 2004, to a Marie and Paul Hadwin. Music filled their house from the start. Her mother often played records from classic soul artists, and even as a toddler, Courtney responded to rhythm instinctively, tapping her feet, humming along, and by age 3, dancing with her arms raised whenever a song came on. Her parents noticed a spark and nurtured it however they could. Watching her perform little living room shows became one of their favorite pastimes. When she reached school age, a teacher picked up on her unusual vocal depth and encouraged her to join the choir. The weekly rehearsals became a training ground, and singing in front of classmates at assemblies gave her an early taste of performing before a crowd. It didn't take long before her schoolmates gave her a nickname, Rocker Girl, a nod to how naturally she moved and sang at once. Courtney treated her singing seriously even as a young girl. She practiced scales in front of her bedroom mirror before school, worked on her breathing to extend her range, and even began writing her own lyrics. By age 10, she had gathered a handful of neighborhood kids into an informal group called Durham Soul. Their parents chipped in to buy instruments, and small crowds would gather locally to listen. Word spread far enough that a local newspaper ran a short feature on her, a moment that made her family proud and gave young Courtney real confidence that her voice could resonate beyond her own street. She continued refining her craft at the Schottenhall Theater School, where a vocal coach helped her learn to shape performance around the emotional core of a song rather than just hitting the right notes. Her first true taste of the big stage came at a festival in Durham City, where nerves gave way to focus, and the audience's applause confirmed that this wasn't just a hobby. It was something she was meant to do. By the time she turned 12, Heselden felt too small for her ambitions. She began saving her allowance, hoping to help cover the cost of a plane ticket to chase a bigger stage. She wrote down her goals at night, and with her mother's steady advice ringing in her ears, work hard, stay humble, never lose sight of why you sing. She prepared to leave home in search of something much larger than her own village. In the summer of 2018, 13-year-old Courtney flew to Omaha, Nebraska, to audition for America's Got Talent. It was her first trip to the United States, and though she was warned about jet lag and the exhaustion of travel, her focus never wavered from the opportunity ahead. Backstage at the CenturyLink Center, she waited among a crowd of nervous singers and dancers, gripping her fedora and audition papers before finally being called forward. Walking out in a leather jacket, white shirt, and jeans, she faced judges Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Mel B under bright lights and a silent room. When the band struck up Piece of My Heart, her voice started soft, then exploded with gravel and power that seemed impossible from someone so young. She stomped in time with the music, closed her eyes, and let the performance take over. The judge's reaction said it all. Simon leaned in, Heidi sat up straight, and Howie could barely hide his shock. By the final note, the room was on its feet, and Simon hit his golden buzzer, sending confetti raining down as Courtney turned to see her mother crying with joy in the wings. Asked afterward what singing meant to her, she gave a simple answer. It made her feel free. That honesty, paired with raw talent, sent her audition clip past 10 million views within a day of posting. Outlets from the New York Times to the BBC picked up the story, some dubbing her the voice of a teenage Janis Joplin. Back home, Heselden's local papers ran front-page stories celebrating their hometown discovery. A private follow-up audition secured her spot in the live rounds, and this time she debuted an original song, Heart and Soul, written with her vocal coach. Simon told her directly that she wasn't imitating anyone. She was simply being herself, and that authenticity carried her straight through to the next stage of